Jeff, what's going on, bud? How are you doing this morning?
Doing great. Good morning. Nice to be on the winning side of things yet again. The old Brew Crew doing just fine.
Well, and you talked about on the broadcast yesterday the bottom part of the lineup, and they were successful yesterday. 4 hits, 4 runs. It seems like when this offense is humming, it is that bottom part of the lineup. So is the return of Jackson Chourio, when it happens, going to be twofold? One, you get one of your best offensive players back because Jackson's that good. But two, it's also going to bump somebody else who's been good down back to the bottom part of that lineup.
It just does, it creates length, right? And I think for guys like Isaac Collins, you get an opportunity for him not to play every single day, which is not a bad thing. He's been playing great. He was the player of the month in July in terms of rookies in the National League. He was awesome. But you can tell that, hey, he might need to play 5 out of 7 days instead of 7 out of 7 days. What Jackson Chourio brings that everybody else bumps back down, like you said. It just fortifies that lineup even more so. He's still a few days away. It's he's not going to be here tomorrow. It's still a couple of days away before he comes back. But the Brewers have options. They're going to be a better offensive team, if that's hard to believe, when he comes back into that lineup because of how good they've been in the month of August. But certainly the Brewers are going to welcome him back with open arms, and he's closer than folks would think.
Jeff, Brandon Woodruff showing a little emotion during the game last night after a botched play, throwing the ball into the dugout. Is that a good thing? Kind of like a
Oh
quarterback
yeah,
yelling at a receiver.
for sure. And Woody's always played with that edge. It's you know he's from the South, and he's built with some red ass in there, and you got to have some of that,
Yeah,
right? You have to pitch with that edge. If you don't think that you're on the top of that mountain dictating your own terms, then what are you doing? You don't need to be taking the mound. And for Brandon Woodruff, I love the way that he pitches. You don't necessarily see all of that emotion all the time from Woody, but when it comes out, you go, okay, all right, no, he's locked in. And they dropped that pop up in the first inning,
yeah.
and then what happened
hmm
after that? He retired the next 14 hitters in a row. So it's good to see that old vintage Brandon Woodruff come out from time to time.
Are they going to continue to try to manipulate the rotation to give Woody the rest that they did? Bring up Chad Patrick, who pitched well on Sunday, so you can give the extra rest to Woody. Is that something they're going to continue to do for the final 5 weeks?
I think they have to be cautious about it. I think they have to be cautious with Jacob Mizorowski too. I think both of those guys, you might see shorter starts or at least give them longer rest. I thought during this stretch of 18 straight days, 19 games in 18 days, that they would go to a 6-man rotation through the entire way. That way, all those guys just work 3 times during these 18 days, right? Everyone's working on 6 days rest. They haven't done that to this point. They have given an extra day to Brandon Woodruff and to Mizorowski, who's going to go tonight. Um, but the Brewers will have off days moving forward in September. I think that's a good thing. And it's going to be built in extra days off for everybody as you get into the stretch run. It's better to be safe than not, right? He's only pitched on 4 days rest one time this year. You got to be careful with his innings. You got to be careful with that shoulder.
Okay, speaking of Miz, what is the plan for him? Because he's already thrown the most innings he ever has as a professional. 97 was
Mhm.
what he threw last year. He's up over that, the combined AAA and Major League innings. How careful are they going to be? Are there going to be times where he's only throwing 60 pitches so they make sure he's ready for a postseason push? What is their plan for Jacob Mizorowski?
I think this is twofold. I think one, Gabe, you got to make sure he's throwing the ball well, and he has been prone these last 2 appearances of having that blow up inning, and you got to get away from that. It's a 30 pitch inning. It's a 40 pitch inning against the Cubs last time out. You got to get away from that. You got to throw the ball better. You can't have these little blips of of wildness where he just loses it, and then the next batter, the next half inning, he's as dominant as he ever was. You kind of go, well, where was that? Why didn't we just tap into that a couple of seconds ago? So that's number one. He's got to get himself right to where when things are going off kilter, he can get himself back on the tracks. The second part of it, I think innings wise, they're in a good place with him. I know he's over where he was from a year ago, but that's by design.
Yeah, because you
You
want to
want to
grow
see
that.
that from
Yeah.
you want to grow that, right? So I think the common knowledge is it's 25% of what you did a year ago. So if he threw 100 innings last year, he's going to be at 125 innings this year. You can manipulate that as you move forward. I don't know if they're going to go shorter in terms of starts on him. There's a potential that he just goes into the bullpen and becomes a super bullpen guy. He becomes that Josh Hader role from 2018 where you can throw him into the third inning or you can throw him into the seventh inning and close a game for you if he's dominating. Those are things that decision wise, you can make those calls, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with his workload innings wise. It's got to be about how he is being efficient and how he's working well.
Can that be a rough transition though? Because he's been a starter his entire career. So he has a way that he gets ready, the way starters get ready. Bullpen guys, you got to get ready a little bit quicker. Can that be, would that transition factor into whatever decision they make if he's going to be a starter reliever down the stretch?
Easier transition to go from starter into bullpen than it is from bullpen to starter, in my opinion. So you could, all right, you have your warm up process, you have whatever you need to do. He's not going to be a guy that you're going to bring in with the bases loaded anyway. He's going to get a clean inning. So you can, if he needs to ramp up a little bit more, he's on the other side of the bullpen. He's getting ready. He's doing what he needs to do to get himself ready for the next half inning while you have that oh my gosh guy that's coming into Nick Mears, right? With the bases loaded and nobody out, try and get out of it. He's the guy who's going to be coming into that situation, not Mizorowski. So I think that transition it would be easier for a guy like Mizorowski.
Jeff, who's the vocal leader or leaders of the team? I mean, we look at Yelly as kind of a soft-spoken. Woody seems like kind of to himself. Who's the vocal leader when they need a little shot in the you-know-what?
Yeah, I think that Yelich knows how to lead this team in the best way possible. By example, he can get into somebody if he needs to. Reese Hoskins was certainly that guy when he was on the roster, and I think that Reese, even when he comes back in September, maybe the end of this month, he could be that guy again. Um, I feel like Sal Frelick, even though he's still a younger guy, has that mentality to be a vocal leader, even though he hasn't played very long. He could get into somebody if he need to. It's different than in football or in basketball where you play so many games. Um, it's not built on that emotion as much, right? I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you need to light a fire into somebody if they're really not playing the way you're supposed to be playing, if they're not playing in the program, you know. But at the same time, you don't need to be chewing somebody out because they didn't run a hard 90 unless it's a consistent thing. Those things have a way of working themselves out without dividing the clubhouse
Is
because
there
that is a sacred place, as
is
you
there
know.
a fear though as the playoffs get closer, guys might get tight because they say everyone hears in the NFL that hey, once the playoffs start, things speed up. Is
Yeah.
there an equivalent to that in baseball?
Sure. I mean, the game moves a lot faster in the postseason. Decisions are made a lot faster.
Yeah.
You struggle in the first inning, someone's getting ready in the bullpen right now. Right now. If you have a bad at bat or two bad at bats, the matchups don't work out for you, and you're coming out in the fourth inning. So that's decisions happen a lot faster. But I think that the experience that this team got last year, with all the young guys playing in the postseason, they had it in 2023 as rookies against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, granted, it didn't work out their way, but that experience for all those guys is critical moving into this season.
Talking with Jeff Levering, as we do each and every Tuesday here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Looking forward, even beyond this year, what is Aaron Ashby's role going to be? They signed him to that contract. They gave him the extension. He gets injured. And obviously, I think when they signed him to that contract, they wanted him to be a starter. But last night was kind of fun as a reliever. Just come in and be absolutely electric, striking out 5 guys in an inning and 2/3. What do you think his role beyond this year is going to be?
Yeah, he's pretty filthy, wasn't he? I
It
mean,
was
he's fun to
ridiculous.
watch.
He was
He's
outrageous.
nasty. Like we were talking about it on the broadcast, and it's catcher set up down the middle, and just throw it at the glove, and then I don't know where this pitch is going to go. Right? It's like, it's green throw up emoji every time he throws the ball because it's gross. Um, I think that they see him as a starter long term because he has the arsenal to be a really good
Yeah,
starter,
he's got a lot of
but
pitches.
Yeah, he is so valuable though in the role that he is in, to where he could go one inning. He could come in and face two batters and strike two guys out in a critical situation. He could go 3 innings out of the bullpen. He is so valuable in that way, and he recovers really well. That's the thing. Like when Josh Hader was doing this back in the day, and I'm not making comparisons to those two guys. They're different people. They throw different stuff, but he recovers a lot better than Josh Hader does. When Hader would go out and go more than one inning, he needed 3 days off. For Ashby, if he went 3 innings the other day against the Cubs and was getting loose 2 days later. So I think for him, he's just happy throwing the ball well. He is happy being a part of this group. He doesn't have to be a starter. He's just happy being a contributor, and he's a big part of what they're doing down in that bullpen.
Jeff, do you think we're going to see Chourio versus Toronto?
Highly possible, but they need to see him get through games. I mean, that's a couple of days away. They need to get him playing 9 innings at least 2 straight days. You have to, because it's not like, okay, well, he can come back up and he's going to be in there for 5 innings and then we're going to take him out. You want him playing virtually every single day, and he's got to be able to trust that that hamstring's going to hold up. So if it's not Toronto, I would say he's back more than likely Labor Day.
Is Abner Uribe going to cause a fight one day? The way he
Didn't
prances
he
around.
already?
I mean, that's true. That might be true. I love it, Jeff, but I can just see how he does it after the wrong guy, and tempers are going to flare a little bit with him prancing around. It was the thought that went through my mind on Sunday when he went off the field after closing out the eighth, and then he did the same thing last night after closing out the game.
Yeah, it's he's done something a little different. Like last year when he was closing games out, he would do the pistol thing and put it in the
Mm-hmm.
holster. And then he added some new, it feels like he was adding something new to the celebration every appearance. He'd go to the holster and then he'd hit his chest and he'd look up at the sky, and then he'd do all these other things with his hands, and then he just started the strut and the prance recently, and he looks like the scarecrow. He's just kind of like nimbly bimbly. I got no bones in my arms and just kind of flopping around. He's so athletic. He's so
Oh,
freaky the
the
way that he
play he
looks.
made, the play
It's
that he made to close out the game last night is outrageous. He made it look
nobody
easy, but I don't know of any
no
other pitcher who's making that play.
No chance. No chance. I mean, he's falling off on the first base side. He's got to reverse and go back towards second base. He makes the play over his shoulder. He's turning and then he throws a little shovel pass over to first base. It's the most athletic play you'll ever see, that no other pitcher in Major League Baseball makes. I think that if he does that to Wilson Contreras, that's probably not going to sit well. Probably not going to sit well.
Well,
I mean, you saw what happened
I was
last year
about
with
to
Jose Siri and the
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Rays.
Well,
So I
they got
mean,
Philly
it's
coming to
okay.
town, so if it's going to go down.
Well, I was about to say Wilson got himself in a little bit of trouble last night too. So
Yeah, he did.
there could be a suspension coming after he threw his bat.
At his own coach.
Well, I mean,
that wrong?
I think it hit his own coach. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
intended to hit his own coach. I think is the problem
Correct.
with Wilson.
Yeah,
That kind of becomes the issue there. But how nice is it to have when you have your closer throw 32, 34 pitches on Sunday, so he's unavailable.
Mhm.
You just can turn to Abner Uribe, and he can close out a game in 11 pitches.
I mean, the Brewers have been so lucky in this aspect for the last decade, right? Think
Yeah.
about the guys that have been in that back end of the bullpen. If it wasn't Knable available for you, then you had Hader or Jeremy Jeffress closing the ball game out, and they traded for Joaquim Soria, who's got a ton of saves over the course of his career. That was the 18 team. Then it was Hader and Williams, and then it turned into Williams and McGill, and now you've got Koenig who can close games out for you. Mears has a save. You feel comfortable, of course, with Adner Uribe picking up saves. You could have Aaron Ashby throw 3 innings to finish out a ball game for you if you needed to. There's a lot of confidence in that back end of the bullpen to get those final 3 outs. But it's all about the culture that they have created out there in the bullpen, knowing that those guys can go in there and get the job done when they need to. But yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a guy like Abner Uribe pumping in 90-mile-an-hour sliders and 101-mile-an-hour bowling ball fastballs as your setup guy.
Jeff, always appreciate the time, man. Look forward to talking to you next week. Hopefully the lead just continues to grow over the Cubs from here on out.
You got it. Take care, guys. Have a good one.
Hey guys, it's Jen from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Thanks for watching our clip. I'm sure it was super informative and educational. I'm just kidding. I love those knuckleheads. And we do it live every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee. Make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you get informed anytime we drop new content.